Also, what you may find is, I suppose, related to lack of love, lack of compassion, is a lack of empathy. So whether that's lack of empathy towards people that you know, like your friends, family, or maybe colleagues even, if you hear something that's not so great going on in their lives, maybe you find it quite hard to feel empathy towards them or feel sad for them or feel angry on their behalf. You just can't put yourself in their position. You just can't feel anything about it. Or maybe it's you see something on the news, maybe parents who have their child has been kidnapped or something, you know, arguably really bad that's happened to them, but you still just can't feel anything towards it. You might end up, you know, questioning, am I a sociopath? Or you might Google, why can't I feel anything? I would really urge you not to do that. Don't Google the lack of feelings. Again, your mind is completely, you know, probably focused on trying to solve whether or not your theme is real or not. You know, OCD is kind of hijacking those emotions. That's the focus. So why would you be able to make yourself feel all these things? So again, I would really urge you, try to let yourself off the hook there. And you don't need to discuss it. If somebody else saying, oh, that's awful, that's terrible, you don't need to say, I don't feel anything about it, because that's a bit of a confession. Just don't say anything. Just, yeah, it's awful or something. Just, you know, remember you're having a rough old time. You're suffering, you're struggling. You want to feel for those people and, you know, the crap stuff that's going on for them, but you're feeling pretty crap right now. So I think a big part of that is trying to be compassionate towards yourself, to give yourself a break. And as I've said in a previous video, don't worry if you can't feel compassion towards yourself, because that's, you know, it's another way for it to turn in on itself. Just act with compassion towards yourself. You don't have to ruminate over the fact that you can't feel compassion for other people, you can't feel empathy for things. I wondered if also maybe some people experience this, which I have experienced, a lack of passion about things like, I mean, this might just be me as a person, a lack of passion for things like the economy and politics and things, and, you know, world current affairs. Again, like this kind of, it's a lot to get your head around, and there's a lot of technical things to know about it. And if your mind is so, like, if you're finding it hard to concentrate on things because of your OCD, and you're finding it hard to care about, you know, even your family or your partner because of OCD or something, or feel that you care, then it's not going to be easy to care about these, you know, events and, you know, these current affairs and politics and everything that we're all supposed to care about. We're all supposed to have really strong opinions about and supposed to want to debate it. I mean, personally, for me, I simply, like, especially through my years of kind of where my OCD was more severe, I didn't have the energy and I didn't have the concentration to, you know, to try and like get my head around all of the different policies and things. So if that is something, I mean, it might be other stuff, like, you know, maybe you should care more about buying a house, or maybe you should care more about finding a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or maybe you should care more about making new friends, or maybe you should care more about finding hobbies. All of these things are like a lack of interest in these things. If you do genuinely want to learn a new skill or find a hobby, do so. But if you just don't care right now, or you feel like you don't care, it's okay. Again, it's compassion for yourself. You're still struggling with your OCD. You know, definitely try and pursue your goals and do things that are important to you in life. But if you couldn't give a flying F about Conservative versus Labour or something, for example, that's okay right now. Next year, you might give a flying F. People won't always understand that because people have very strong opinions about these things, but it's okay if you don't right now. You're not less of a person. You're not unintelligent. So I just wanted to, this is, I suppose that sounds like reassurance, but I'm saying let yourself off the hook for those byproducts of OCD, because OCD is very tricky. And it's very energy sapping and it's very consuming. That's the nature of it. It's not easy to concentrate when you're struggling with OCD. Another emotion that you might be lacking is maybe, or feeling like you're lacking, is sadness. You know, maybe you don't feel sad when you're supposed to feel sad. Again, and that can make you sort of question, well, what kind of a person am I? If hearing about that doesn't make me sad, and my partner's sat next to me, dabbing their eyes. But again, it's you know, you can't always summons the right emotion for the right situation. You're a human being. You're suffering right now with OCD. You're, you know, internally struggling. You're distracted. Even if you weren't, if you didn't happen to feel sadness in the right moments, doesn't mean that sadness won't come later on. We're very complicated, you know, we're complex human beings, you know, we've got these incredibly sophisticated things inside our heads. And as I said previously, like I'm a very strong believer in being able to have more than one emotion at once, and accepting that and allowing it is really helpful. I mean, I just kind of speak from my own experiences sometimes. There are certain days when you might like with grief, for example, you might expect to feel more sad than others, but it just might so happen that you just don't feel it that day. I don't feel as sad as I might do that day. 3 weeks later, out of the blue, the grief monster comes to get you and you're really sad. And my point is that there's no, you don't have to feel sad at certain times. This particular event happens, or you hear about this event, you might not feel sad in a moment. Who says it won't pop up a week later and suddenly you're like, oh my God, that is so sad, and you know, and then it brings tears to your eyes. You don't know when it will sort of crop back up. Your mind might be distracted in that moment or something, or you might feel extreme anxiety in that moment. So again, sadness is something that you may feel like you're lacking in the moments where you feel like you should have it, and there is no should about it. That's, you know, should, as we say, is an irrational thing. There's no should about bloody feelings. Yeah, so that's another emotion. So I think it's, you know, a lot of it is lack of being able to feel empathy, just feeling apathy about various things, you know, whether that's maybe the way you look, you might feel apathetic about, or world events, politics, economy, and then maybe not being able to feel sadness and not being able to feel love. So there's so many ways that you can feel numb and emotionless when you're struggling with mental health conditions. And what gets us, you know, where we dig ourselves further and further in with the mental health conditions is beating ourselves up over the way we feel. So therefore, do we want to beat ourselves up over the way we don't feel? Because we've already beaten ourselves up over having various emotions come in with various thoughts. We might then be beating ourselves up when we learn more about OCD, about the fact that we've gotten anxious about something that we shouldn't have gotten anxious about, because thoughts are just thoughts and all of that stuff. Do we really then want to beat ourselves up over the fact that we're struggling to feel sad when you're supposed to feel sad, or that we're struggling to feel love when we're supposed to feel love, or in fact, if we're struggling to feel aroused when you're supposed to feel aroused, you know, maybe you don't feel as excited about the idea of having sex at the moment. Do we need to really beat ourselves up over that? Because if surely you would want to feel aroused about the idea of that. If you could, you would. But because you've been anxious or whatever for a while, maybe that's not the first thing that you're thinking about. Do you need to beat yourself up further over these things, is my question. And I'm gonna answer that. No, you don't. So do try not to, you know, ruminate about it. Try to just leave that there. Don't try and test yourself, where you like really try not to test yourself to summons these emotions, because it just digs you further into the rabbit hole. I hope this video has been helpful. I've just remembered one last thing. If you're not feeling festive at the moment or excited about Christmas, also don't beat yourself up, because Christmas is something that we're told, you know, it's supposed to be a feeling of love, warm, loving feelings and giving and all of that. And I love Christmas, don't get me wrong, but I have actually been someone who beats themselves up over not being excited enough about Christmas. But again, you can't force yourself to feel excited. What are you going to do? Play Christmas songs continuously until you can feel excited about it? So that was just a last example I wanted to give is, you know, the holiday season and holidays generally, whether you're going on vacations, if you don't feel excited and things, it's okay. It doesn't mean you won't have a nice time when you're there. You just, you can't, you know, you can't manufacture those kind of emotions. Leave OCD to manufacture the emotions. It's damn good at that. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. If you are struggling to feel emotions, please know that you're not the only one. I'm right there with you on certain occasions, as are many other people who watch videos on this channel, who make videos on this channel. All of us will have experienced it at some point and potentially be experiencing it at the moment. So don't beat yourself up about it, because you've beaten yourself up enough already. But thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Bye.